Well, hello, folks. I'm L.A. Little, and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets, and we do it from a neoclassical perspective each time. We ask ourselves what happened today. What does it tell us about the coming ones? I do a show 4 times a week, Monday through Thursday, broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Archived on YouTube, it's under the channel L.A. Little. You can catch me there anytime, anywhere, any device. Take your pick. As far as schedule, let's talk about schedule real quick here. It's Tuesday. I will have a show out tomorrow, but the show will be actually broadcast during the day, during market hours, and then of course to put up here on YouTube for you. I will be leaving town, so there will be no show Thursday. So you have a show tomorrow before the markets close. And then after that, Thursday, there will be no show this particular week. So as far as these markets, what's happening here, we had another push up today. Matter of fact, let's pop over to Bloomberg, look at the numbers. So the Dow was up just, it's basically flat, up $1. S&P's up $1.40. NASDAQ was up almost $9. Toronto, there's some others on here. Toronto was up about it was a third of a percent. The Bovespa is down 0.5%. If I go over to Europe, Europe was decent today, fairly strong. The peripheral countries are the ones that are catching the wind with the European situation as it is. Over in Asia, the Nikkei was up last night about 3%. It's up again tonight, up about 1% or so. This Hang Seng, I believe this is tonight's quote, and the same with Shanghai. So basically, we had a market that was, fairly flat. We actually had Veterans Day here in the U.S. today, so, my heart's out to all the veterans. But bond markets were closed and had a very quiet day as a result of it. West Texas crude is down tonight. Gold is down a little bit. Silver and copper the same thing. So commodities getting hit. Dollar was strong again. Or actually, dollar was strong today, but then pulled back towards the end of the day on most currencies other than the yen. Now popping over to the markets. I'm going to start with the Dow tonight because the Dow actually has an interesting situation here where for so long, we just haven't got anything in the way of any kind of reversal signal, but you have one on the Dow tonight. Now, I don't know that I would call this an extended move, only because it had a little bit of a break here. But, extended, it's still, extended me is where you push fast and furious, right? So you go up a lot of percentages in a short period of time. And I guess you could still say this was extended. So anyway, we whether it is or isn't, unfortunately, it's the only index giving you a clue of some sort of a pullback attempt. Volume was low. You go over the top. You're back underneath it. That scenario is a two-bar reversal. And so when you see that sort of scenario, top yesterday was 17,621. You go over that. You close back under it. That's a two-bar reversal. So Dow, given a signal, it wants to come back. But when you look at the rest of them, none of the others did it. They all were right there again, as they have been at the very end. But then again, they push higher right at the end. 2039 on the S&Ps. Yesterday's highs 2038.70. So it's over the highs, closes over the highs. The NASDAQ, remember, had a 6-day consolidation, closes over the highs tonight. Not much volume, but over the highs. NDX, also a 6-day consolidation, closes over the highs. Russell has been consolidating. Yesterday pushed up, closed over the highs. Today held it. Going for this high, 1183.85, trading at 1179.96. I suspect it's going to test it. That's just the way this is working right now. So I do believe, before long, you're going to see some sort of a retrace back into these areas. For example, here would be back into this area again and test. Test this downside, try to break it down some, maybe get into the top of this big bar. But right now, They're not doing it, and they're not giving any signals that they want to do it. So the only of the 5 indexes, the only one showing anything with respect to the downside is the Dow Jones. The rest of them, new highs, hold over yesterday's highs despite lower volume. If you look at the sectors, and a lot of times the sectors will give some clues before the indexes, and so I popped through these and looked at these close tonight, and we can just glance through them together. But the IBB holds up, the IYT it went over, back under, right? 2-bar reversal? No, it's got heavier volume. That's not a 2-bar. SOX consolidating 7 days now. The XLB, XLE, XLY, money is flowing back over to these. XLY, these were all green today. This is kind of a rotation thing that's going on between the other groups and these laggard groups as the money flows to them. XLF, finally, I mean, talk about an extended move. Finally gets over, back under, but more volume. It's not a 2-bar. XLI, same thing, over, back under, more volume. So as you can see here, you're not getting those retrace setups in these indexes nor in the sectors. The only one that gave it today was XLP. Goes over, back under, less volume. This one's going to try to come back. So you got the Dow, the XLP. Other than that, they still aren't giving you any signals, folks. They still want to go higher. As crazy as it is, that's the way it is. So when I look at these markets, I look at that situation, that's what it looks like to me. So synopsis-wise, that is the thought here tonight, is you're going to get another push again tomorrow. If we go over to the ox markets, and just for grins, take a look at the dollar. The dollar's still hanging up here at the highs, less volume, pulls back, it's under, back over. This one's going to continue to consolidate, it looks like. I have a question with USO, oil, so forth. I'll come back to it. These are still trying to put in bottoms, so we'll come back and look at those a little bit. Let's look at nat gas here. One of the members started buying back into this today, he said. And let me see here. That's at a swing point high. So I think what I said the other night was you could expect a retest regen off this bar, and that's what it's doing. Hasn't quite got to the low of it, and you got this huge volume here to protect you. So trying to buy it somewhere down in here is probably a decent play, and I'm assuming that's what I didn't time when he gave the comment today in the trade room, but that looks to be what he's probably trying to do there. So that's it's not a bad setup. Let me see what gasoline's doing. Gasoline hanging at the lows too. And then if we go over and look at silver and gold, so silver got a decent little spot higher today. No volume down here though. These are going to try to probably pull back up, and I'm going to do a special on these tonight, so I'll come back to them. If I look at the bonds, bond markets were closed today, but we still had trading in the ETFs and the futures. Really not much happening there. And that's about it. So, with respect to the markets, it just looks like you're going to get another attempt to push this thing higher one more time tomorrow. That still looks like the setup. So let's take the member question. It was about USO. It was about oil itself. Let me see what the question was specifically. It says, with the price of crude oil in the news, do you think there might be a buy the dip opportunity in something like the USO or some of the better stocks in the sector? So if we look at the USO, the thing here is you don't have, at this point, you don't really have a bottom yet, right? You have an attempted bottom, but you don't have a bottom yet. So, and what I'm talking about is you came down, well, let's take them bar by bar real quick. So you come down, you break here, that's this break of this low, and you can see the volume here and the volume there, they're almost equal. That gets you under it. You keep going, you keep going. The low on this bar that was broken, that swing point low, price point 30.20, And so far, you haven't tested it. You got the 3017, 3011, 3013, but no test. And what I mean by test is this area is going to be a retest region. Now note how wide that bar is. And if you come back with this 6 bars, usually you'll try to get towards the top of that bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 didn't make it. So that, after 6 bars, you have a lower probability of getting deeper in there, and a lot of times you'll just test the bottom of it. So at this point, I don't see the situation here that's going to get us back up into this area, but instead try to test the bottom. Now, it may turn out that we get enough strength there that this thing can get deeper into this zone, right? The retest regenerate zone, and maybe even get over it and create a range. But if I take a look, you know, for example, at the weekly chart, I don't see it here either. I see a big volume spike down, right? And no test of that low yet. And so no reversal signal yet. And if I go over to the monthly chart, I've got the same sort of situation where we break under this swing point low here. We break under it, and we broke here as well. And right now on a monthly, we're up underneath this swing point low, and we're testing the very lows. So at this point, you know, price wise, let me get these off so I can see the numbers. We've got a, what is it, 29.02 and a 29.10, and we traded as low as 28.89. We still got 3 weeks roughly left in the month. So it's too early to call this monthly. The weekly doesn't look good, and the daily hasn't given us a, you know, a signal yet. So at this point, I just don't see the bottom yet. So that's oil itself. But you can also trade, you know, other things. For example, the sector, you know, the XLE is more tied to the USO, although it's really the companies, right, that are drilling. Integrated oil, you know, companies. The drillers, OIH, they, yeah, so the oil itself, I wouldn't be looking for the trade yet. But if you turn to the stocks, which was the other part of your question here, these drillers, I'm trying to see if there's anything here, and I just don't see anything yet. I don't see anything that tells me these are done yet. What would tell me that would be some sort of a break of a swing point high, right? Or taking out, and here's another one over here, or taking out a low, but the last low is way up here. I mean, you got a long way to go find a low, and that would just be a retest regen if you ever got back up there, right? So, I mean, I guess that's a reflection of just how bad it's been. So the test now is to get over a swing point high, right? Get a trend change back up. I mean, right now the trend is down, down, down. I mean, goodness, look at how bad this is. I mean, you don't find charts this bad very often, and I'm sure that's why you're looking at it. Confirmed bullish. I mean, bearish. Suspect bearish. Reconfirmed bearish. Reconfirmed bearish. Reconfirm. I mean, just like a, you know, repeat. You need something to get over a swing point high and change the trend. If it did that, then it would make me start thinking, okay, maybe we're going to put some sort of a bottom in here now. If I look at the weekly on this one, same thing. You got big spike, volume low. Now here you've actually got a retest regen going. So this would be a good measure. And that probably lines up pretty close with those numbers we were just looking at. 46.26. So let's go back over here. 46.20, that's 46.02 and 47.11. Yeah, so 46, you know, you could trade over maybe 46.30, 46.40 for the end of the week. This might actually be turning finally, and that would be something to look at. Now, to go find those stocks, you know, I'd probably pop over to the tools and go down to the sector trends, and I'd put in the, say, the OIH, and see what they look like. And then, usually the easiest way to do this is just to sort here on this short-term trend. And my goodness, look at how many are bearish of all these drillers. So here's a few that are sideways. I'm looking to see if there's any names there I recognize. Sandridge Energy is one. We could look at it. And let me blow this up so that we get the full chart. And that one doesn't look that good, so I'm not sure I'm that interested in it. And then if I go see if I can find any bullish ones, here's a bullish one. So Transatlantic Petroleum, let's see what this one is. I don't know what it is. See, this one actually had a break of a high, right? Two highs here, breaks it on this bar. And that's actually a nice sign of, buyers coming in on this thing. So it's kind of low volume, but that's the sort of thing you want to see. Let's see if there's any other ones or ones I know. Oh, Noble. Let's see what Noble looks like. Okay, so here's one that's doing decent. Breaks a swing point high. Pushing. It's already over two of them. That makes it bullish. And yeah, I mean, for example, here on Noble, this is the only one I see in the drillers that really is starting to do something. Gets over that thing can run back up to here. So that's the way I would go try to find these. And you can see here you got, you got little ABCD structures in place. You got one it's trying to put in right now, right, that can take you up higher. So Noble, on a quick glance here, is the only one I see in this group. Let's look at the XLE and see what's over there. So sort them by this, and look at all the bearish ones here as well. That's just a reflection of how bad it is in this sector. And let's see if there's any here that I know. Sideways. Devon. Let's see what these guys look like. Yeah, see, this one doesn't look bad. So this is a kind of an integrated oil name. This one actually doesn't look bad at all. This is the sort of thing I'd be looking for. So there are a few. The only thing I would say is, and I know you're kind of doing the bottom fishing thing here, but I'd really, I guess what I'm trying to think to myself here. I think you're seeing some money flow into these because of rotation. As soon as the rotation flips back, right, enough consolidation has happened, the money's going to flow back to the stronger sectors. So what I would really be looking at, and I just said just a second ago, the XLP, for example, looks like it's going to pull back. I would probably be looking for the strong stocks in something like this instead of looking at the strong stocks in a weak sector. Instead of looking at the ones that are getting pulled up, and I know they can go farther, but what if the oil really does crumble more? Because the oil doesn't show me it's done yet. I might want to come over here, sort these, and did I do XLP? Yeah, and then find something in this group, right? So anyway, that would, because this is a strong group, and I would probably be looking for, strong stocks in a strong sector that's going to try to pull back, or just the sector itself if you want. So that's my thoughts there. Let me pop over to the other question, or actually the point that I wanted to look at tonight. With the gold, and actually, this is a kind of a corollary to what you were just doing, although this one is already starting to show it. And what I'm talking about is the gold stocks are trying to do something. It's in its infancy, but there's a possibility that something's going on, right? And what I mean by that is if I look here, I can see a nice big lead up volume spike. Now I'm sure a lot of that's short covering. If it gets over this though, it's going to try to run right back up into the swing point low. That's not a huge move, but it's a what is it, a 10% move almost? So you could get that sort of move you're looking for in the oil sector over here in the gold stocks, potentially, on a big bounce. Now, oil and gold both are dependent on what the dollar's doing. And so the problem here is that these would just be very short-term trades, both in your oil and in your gold stocks, because dollar doesn't look like it's done yet. So dollar's consolidating, if it just hangs there and consolidates a little while, it can get another push. And if you look at the ABCD structure, it looks like that's what it wants to do. So I guess I think it's a little early on those sectors. I think the gold is the one that's closer, the gold stocks. And there's some good gold stocks in the sector. I'm not going to mention my favorite, which I told the members about today because it's not fair to them. But, there are some decent stocks in that sector. And if you put in like, we can put in something everybody knows like Newmont just to get us to the sector, sort it, and then you can go find. And you see here they're very bearish as well. But there's going to be some that are bullish. And look, there's quite a few more bullish here than there are bearish overall. So I guess, than what we, not bearish overall, but what we saw in the oil sector is a little bit better over here, and probably true on the suspect ones as well. There's a few suspect bullish as well. Now, a lot of these are sectors, and it looks like a bunch of these are Toronto and Australia, though. So anyway, that's probably where I would probably look if I'm looking for a bottom fish, high beta type move short-term trade. Hope that helps. Folks, I'm going to probably leave it at that. Again, I'll do an early show tomorrow. Nothing on Thursday. We'll have a day off, and I'll be back with you on Sunday. Tell a friend, tell two. I'm LA. This is, and it was, your daily NeoTA wrap. Have yourself a great night. Hope all is well, and I'll see you next time. Good night.